Hello everybody, thanks for tuning into my channel. This won't be another update or anything like that. I just kind of want to make a short video about talking about raising angelfish fry. This video is directed to the new people in the angelfish breeding hobby, and I just want to talk about some of the mistakes that I've made and some things that I had to learn from firsthand experience breeding these guys. And I also want to talk about how to feed them, how to do their water changes, and some things that you really need to know that you might miss, watching other people's videos or reading some information online. First things first, let me tell you how I get my angelfish fry in their own aquarium. How my technique is this: once my pair has laid eggs, I keep the eggs wherever they laid them at, and I let the parents do their job. Now, I only do that because I know for the most part, my pairs won't eat their babies. As long as they're well fed and they feel secure and comfortable in their tanks, they will not eat the babies. So I leave the babies with the parents. Once the babies get free swimming, which means, when they start swimming and when all of them get free swimming, I get a small net like this one and I transfer them all to this 20-gallon aquarium. And it's really okay, to transfer them. They're very hardy, they're not too sensitive. They can be, out of water for a few seconds or like 20 seconds, but I wouldn't leave them out too long. Just like treat them like regular fish. Scoop them up in the net, dump them in here. Of course, dump them in here gently. After you get all your fry in here, you want to feed them immediately. So I forgot to mention, as soon as your pair lays eggs, like around day 2 when they first become wigglers, set up some baby brine shrimp. If you don't know how to set up baby brine shrimp, I made a video. Click on my account name and scroll down in the video section and look for that video and watch it. It's very simple to hatch baby brine shrimp. So have baby brine shrimp ready and go ahead and feed them, but don't put too much food in there because the first couple of times you put food in there, not all of them will eat because they don't know what food is. So you got to throw the food in there a couple of times for them to recognize that baby brine shrimp is a sort of food and nutrition for them to grow and whatnot. And the first day, put in baby brine shrimp in there like maybe twice, and then the first week just do it 2 times a day. Do it 3 times a day if you see them eating. Once you see them all like eating and like going after the food, and you see that their stomachs are like orange and full, then go ahead and start feeding them about 4 times a day. Some of you guys might think that's too much. It's not. Just feed them every 3 hours or every 2.5 hours, which is what I did for the first like month or so. And how much you feed them? Just what I do is I'll put in a batch of baby brine shrimp in there, and let me show you guys. Like I have this turkey baster here, and I'll fill it about halfway. If you don't have a turkey baster, I recommend you guys get one. Although you guys can use other things too. This is what I use, and I fill about halfway, and it's like full. I'll dump it in there, and look at them. They're all coming up now. They recognize what this is. Yeah, they're hungry. I gotta feed them. But put half in there, and then once you see them eat all of it, and you don't see any more baby brine shrimp in there, look at their stomachs. If their stomach is orange and round and looks like their stomach's about to pop, don't feed them anymore. But if you see a little bit of orange in there but their stomach's not bulging out, I wish I could show you guys here, but my phone's pretty crappy. But feed them until their stomach is like poking out, like they have a little beer belly. And then once you see that, stop. And pretty much try to keep their bellies that way. And what I usually like to do is, as you can see, I got 2 sponge filters in here. I like to turn them off when it's feeding time. The reason being so is because I find it that when I put baby brine shrimp in there and the filtration is on, the majority of the food gets sucked into the sponge filter, and it's just too much. I think it's too much work for them to later on have to, go over there and dig around the sponges to get the food and whatnot, like those 2 guys are doing over there. But they only start doing that when they get older, when they're about like a month older. When they're like, newborns, they're not gonna know to go to the sponge filters and get to the baby brine shrimp that way. So I recommend turning off your filtration. That way, it's easier for the babies to, catch the food and gain access to the baby brine shrimp. And also, when you put the baby brine shrimp in there, try to put the baby brine shrimp over their heads or right in front of them. Because, if you just dump it over here and they're all over here, when they're newborns, they're not going to know they're not going to be able to see it from that far. You got to put it right in front of them. These guys are like almost over a month old, so they're trained, and as you can see, they're all coming up now like, hey, feed me, feed me, feed me. See, I just put my hand up, and the majority of them are like, is he gonna feed us? Is he gonna feed us? Now, water changes. Oh, and let me mention something about temperature. Most of you are probably curious about what to keep the temperature on. I keep my temperature, I don't know if you can see that, at 81. I keep it at 81. That's the perfect temperature for these guys. You can do 82, but I wouldn't do anything above 82. Anything above 82 is gonna probably kill these guys. At least that's my experience. So I recommend keeping your heater at 81 degrees. Most of you are curious on how to do a water change for these guys. I recommend getting a white bucket, a 5-gallon white bucket that you can get from your local hardware store. I bought mine for about $5. They're not that expensive. The reason why I say white is because the first month or so when you do your water changes, especially if you have a lot of fry, you're going to end up sucking the majority of those fries, which is okay. It's not a big deal if you suck up your fry as long as you have a white bucket. The reason being so is because if you're doing a water change and you accidentally suck up some of your fry, they fall into the bucket and no harm will be done to them. And you can see them because the bucket is white. If you have a black bucket or a purple bucket or a blue bucket, it's going to be very difficult to see them, especially when they're newborns. Because these guys are really small when they first start free swimming. They're really small. They're really hard to see. So you do your water change. And if you happen to suck some up, that's fine. What you do is after you fill your bucket close to the top, you're going to get a net. I always use a white net like this. So when I scoop them out, I can see them in there. And then you just put them back in and then voila, you're good. Now, I'm still learning, so I'm not a pro. As far as feeding these guys flakes, I believe that, I read on the internet after 2 weeks of feeding your angelfish fry hardcore, you need to start feeding them flakes. That's what I read online, but this hasn't worked for me. Maybe because I'm a noob. But, just get some flakes and, crush it up really good. until it's like a fine powder, and then don't put too much, because every time you put in new food to your angelfish fry, they're not gonna eat it at first. And I've read that you gotta wean them into it. So after 2 weeks, feed them less baby brine shrimp and start putting in flakes in there. And I've been trying to do that. It hasn't worked for me. I'll put in flakes. They won't go for the flakes. Um, but I will tell you how I got those 6 angelfish in the 75 gallon to start eating flakes. So what I did was, when they got to about that size, all I would do is throw in flakes. That's it. I didn't try to wean them into it. One day they were eating brine shrimp, and then the next day I stopped them cold turkey, and I started throwing flakes in there. First 3 days, they didn't go after the flakes too much. They'd go after it and they would eat it, but they would spit it out. So pretty much what I did was, I pretty much starved them until they pretty much had no choice, until they pretty much had no choice but to eat the flakes that I was throwing in there. Sorry, I'm stuttering, but I've only had like 3 hours of sleep. Um, and that's pretty much mainly it. Some of you guys are wondering what to use to do the water change. I pretty much use something like this, but it's a little bit bigger and longer, obviously. Pretty much anything will work, but don't use like a Python water changer or anything like that. Any water changer that requires you to hook it up to a hose, I would not recommend using that, because if you accidentally suck up your fry, there's no way of getting that fry back. You pretty much kill them, because um, whatever you suck in through the aquarium, it exits out the hose, and whatever leaves the hose goes onto your front porch. At least my front porch, and that's no bueno. You want these guys to survive and live a happy life. So that's pretty much it for taking care of angelfish fry. Make sure they have good filtration. Um, oh, you guys probably have questions about filters. Um, some of you guys are probably wondering how to set up the sponge filters. Maybe it's pretty simple. I got these 2 sponge filters from Amazon, and they're really good. They were only $9 a piece. You will have to buy an air pump like this one. This is a dual air pump. It can pump air through 2 lines, and you will need to buy some airline tubing. This was about $5. I recommend the black ones because they're a lot cleaner. When you keep the white ones in there, they just over time they look really nasty. These do not. What else was I gonna say? You pretty much just first you obviously rinse the sponges out, and I rinsed them out on tap water. And people say, oh, you gotta season these sponge filters, and you gotta make sure they get some good bacteria before you set them up in your aquarium. That's probably true, but I'm just gonna tell you what happened to me with my experience. Honestly, when I first set up this tank, what I did was I got about a quarter worth of water from one of my other tanks, and I put it in here, and then I filled the rest up with new clean water, and that automatically cycled my tank. And after that, I immediately set up the new sponge filters, and everything was pretty much okay. Um, so I mean, in my experience, putting the sponge filters right in was okay for me. I'm just saying it was okay for me. So don't blame me, if your fish dies or anything like that. But I highly doubt it. Now as far as like hanging on the back filters, I've seen people like do modifications to baby proof them. That never worked out for me. So I just totally avoided the idea of trying to baby proof a hang on the back filter. Although you would definitely get cleaner water if you manage to use a hang on the back filter. But I mean, just baby proofing them for me was like a lot of like time loss and wasted effort. Did not work out for me. I tried putting a foam on there. I tried wrapping them with like mesh, and my fry would still end up getting sucked and dying from it. So I said, forget that. I'm just gonna use sponge filters. I'm sorry this video is long, but I'm just trying to make sure that I don't leave anything out. And I really just want you guys to not make the same mistakes that I went through. I'm really hoping this stuff helps you guys out. Another question probably be, how long, like how do I know my angelfish fry are? If you guys are trying to sell these, trying to sell angelfish, the right size to sell them at, or to move them to your big aquarium. I'd say up until like they're a little under, a little over pea size. That's when I do it. Um, Whenever you see them start eating flakes and only flakes, that's when you want to move them and they're a good size. Like he's a good size, but me personally, I would wait maybe 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks or a month before putting him in with the other big guys over there. I did attempt to put him in there 3 days ago, and it did not turn out too well. He almost got eaten. So, you think, I really thought, he would, do well in there, but, you know, angelfish can open their mouth really big. And those 6 in there, they attempted to eat him. And I was really scared for this little guy because I thought he was going to die, but I managed to save him. So that's pretty much it. If I left out anything, if you have any more questions, just leave it in the comment box below. I'm sorry this video was too long. I really need to work on making my videos shorter. Thanks for watching, guys, and hope you guys have a wonderful day.